we have a historic example of how not to do it with Antoine Walker, who was a very well-known basketball player at the University of Kentucky, helped win a championship, and then now is virtually broke because he had so many people in his entourage.
He ran through $110 million.
Not only gambling, but also just having too many people involved with his money.
He made $110 million strictly from playing basketball. You don't know what else he's made in endorsements and that sort of thing. And he was in a situation where they're going to put him in jail in Las Vegas because he had ran up about $700,000 in debts at a casino. And I've been reading quite a bit on the Walker situation because I'm looking at including it in my next book.
Yeah.
And you hit it. He had a huge entourage, and his mother made statements like, "Well, gee, isn't it so great he could provide with people?" No, he needed to be in a situation where he could take care of himself. Because what is he, in his late 30s now, maybe?
Oh yeah, and he's, as I understand, he's going to be playing in Puerto Rico. That's where he's now playing some, small Puerto Rican league. And this is a guy who was an NBA All-Star.
Yeah, he was, like I said, $110 million, and just and it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is, and it's gone.
It's gone, and you're not going to get another shot at it. And the interesting thing, and there was actually Tom Leach, the sportscaster for UK, put me on to this some Sports Illustrated studies a couple years ago, and I'm including that, and I've written about it I write a column for Huffington Post too, and I've written about it in Huffington Post, and I've written about it it's going to show up in my book. But 60% of NBA players are broke within 3 years after they get out of the league, and I just found that, and it's also true in the NFL, Major League Baseball, just almost any sport.
It's scary.
It's staggering when you think that, and that was one that surprised me. I'll be honest with you. I worked with injured people and lottery winners, and I understood the concept of they went from having nothing to having a lot very quickly. But professional athletes, if you're a professional, say, baseball or basketball player, you probably knew in the 5th or 6th grade that you had what it took to at least get to a certain level. And you can pick out 7th and 8th graders, and I can tell you which ones are going to make the NBA or at least be at a point where they have that possibility.
Sure.
So they should have been developing those types of networks, and a lot of them have agents that help them negotiate contracts. Obviously, like Antoine, going back to him, he had $110 million. Somebody, negotiated a good contract for him. But why they don't have the systems in place to keep them in their finances well beyond that. I had a friend who was a professional football player, and he was basically broke by the time he was in his mid-30s, and just praying. Now, the one thing with professional athletes, a lot of them have pretty good pensions, and he's praying for the day when he could start his pension, which I think was like 40, but even then, that's enough probably to get by the rest of his life, but not the type of riches that he should have enjoyed.
Well, does this go to a personal responsibility for the athlete to be able to, maybe look ahead and say, all right, well, I'm going to need to set up some things, or is this for those that go to school? Maybe the institution should be involved and at least help prepare them for these situations.
Actually, a little both. I mean, there's a certain amount. I've always wondered how the institutions handle this. And
I have too.
And if they should spend a little bit more time on financial literacy, for lack of a better term, and give them some idea of what they're prepared for. And there's a fine line to walk, because you could easily bring in your friend, the financial advisor, and try to steer business that way. There's a lot of people wanting to help. Say, John Wall probably has all the friends and financial advisors he ever wants right now.
Well, and you hope that they're the right ones.
Yeah.
You hope. I mean, there's been plenty of examples of athletes who've had bad advice.
Yeah.
You should go into the draft now, when they're not ready. Or and there's even some of the ones that are coming out this time that people are questioning, well, are they really getting the right advice?
Randolph Morris, going back to the University of Kentucky example. I don't know, I don't know who was talking to him.
He came from a good family. He was a smart kid.
Yeah.
You would have thought he would have been someone who would have been prepared for what he ultimately wanted to get to. But he had friends who were already in the NBA, people that he played AAU basketball with. And so I guess he was influenced by what they were doing, and they were telling him, hey, come on, you can play in this league.
Yeah.
And was never able to properly position himself to where he could really be a contributor on a team.
He's been like a bench warmer for, I think he's with the Hawks the last time I checked.
Sure, yeah.
And he gets a couple minutes a game. And if he had gone to college and gone 2 or 3 years, he would have come out as a top 10 player, which means right away you're starting $12 million.
Well, he did play a couple years.
Yeah, he came back for that second time. But,
yeah, sure.
But after he couldn't go out and be in the draft. Once he had been through the draft once, he couldn't go back again.
Exactly.
And I think he cost himself $10, $15, $20 million
easily
by doing that.
Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time to him, I'm sure. But
yeah, I wish I'd had a chance to talk to him.
And going back to the institutions, like you said, I'm curious because you know that they prepare the athletes for how to deal with the media because it's very important to them, the image. But you wonder sometimes, are they really, really educating them on exactly what's going to happen when they get in these situations? They're going to have to make decisions about who they choose to associate with, who they bring into their circle. Yeah. And you hope that they're, educating these people about it.
And actually, even though we're picking on Antoine Walker and Randolph Morris, Kentucky seems to have a better system for that. I noticed the players seem to hang with each other. Just because it's such a high-profile program and it's such a well-developed program. Whereas if you're a star and you come out of, say, Murray State University, where I don't want to pick on Murray, I don't know, they probably don't have, they may have one player a decade make it to the professional basketball.
I believe Popeye Jones.
And I can't think
of the last one I can remember, but I know they've had at least one more player that has come out.
Yeah.
So
and I went to Eastern for undergraduate, and I can't think. They usually get a football player or two a year, but I can't remember the last basketball player.
It's been a while.
And so it's one of those situations where they don't have the systems because they're not really, but who they associate with and just developing the players as people. I think that's very important. And also the players have to have some awareness and some, I know, like Alex Rodriguez, the Yankees, one of the things I thought he was very smart about when he and LeBron James both did the same thing. When they wanted financial advice, they called up Warren Buffett and, out of the blue. And, hi, I'm LeBron James. Well, Warren Buffett knows who LeBron James is. And got advice from the best financial mind. I like Warren helping me.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, he's written books about it too. So I mean that's. And I guess if you have his phone number, you might as well give him a call.
That's it. If Warren will take my calls, I'd be glad to talk to him.
We're speaking with Don McNay. He's a financial commentator, syndicated columnist, and an author. His latest book is entitled Son of a Gambler. I'm Joe Conkwright in for Nick Lawrence on Curtains at 8.